Hi everyone, good day. And welcome to another edition of the Encouragement Series. I'm super excited to have you join us for this month's edition, the month of July. My name is Josephine Omoniye. I'm the Encourager and I'm your host of the Encouragement Series. Basically, the Encouragement Series is a monthly virtual experience where we bring professionals from different spheres of life, from different businesses, backgrounds, where they come to share their stories and to encourage us. So, whether it's so for this edition, we're talking about as a writer. So, in past editions, we've talked about business owners, first time mom, first time dad. So, basically, bringing professionals from different walks of life to encourage us to live purposeful lives, meaningful lives, and to just take care of our mental health. So, for this edition, I have my friend with me, an amazing person. Um, Background story: I met her officially last year when we were doing a particular project together, and from there, I was awed. I was blown away by her level of diligence and excellent work spirit. All right, so I didn't even know she was a writer, to be honest. I know she's very good with media and creativity and a lot of things, but anyways, you're in for an experience. That's just all I have to tell you. So if you know someone that's a writer, someone who's a creative, someone who's a storyteller that has been struggling with their mental health based on the way the work is, send the person this link. So we are the Encourager Consulting Group on YouTube, and sit tight. I'll be bringing up our guest now. Her name is Caris Gabriel. Yes. Yay! Hi, Caris.
Hi, good evening. Hello,
Good
everyone.
evening. Okay, so I'm going to be reading her profile now. So just know that, I don't bring, I bring correct people to my show. So just listen to her profile. Caris Gabriel. So she's a prolific writer, she's a storyteller, and a Chevening scholar with a master's degree in creative writing from Brunel University, London, United Kingdom. All right. Her work on numerous films and TV projects, so she has had, projects on feature movies, TV series, documentaries, animation, name it, just to showcase her versa, whatever that word is, what's the word? Versatility. See, this English that I've said. Thank you. And creative prowess. She's the founder of the 360 Writer. So this is a platform where she helps writers hone and monetize their writing skills. So if after the end of this show, you know that you're a writer, but you're just struggling to, hone your skills, monetize what you have, you can book a session or book sessions with her. She's the right person for you. So she's also the founder of Writers in Advocacy. So this is basically an initiative that empowers writers to harness the power of written words for positive social change. Right? So it's not that they're just writing, you're actually writing for a cause. And then Caris Gabriel harnesses her creativity, strategic thinking, and passion to drive positive change, inspiring a new generation of writers to wield their words for impact. So, can everyone? I know we've some of us have joined this call, so please let's say hello to Caris. Let's say hello to Caris. Let's welcome her to the encouragement series. We know she's in the right place, so say hello. All
Hi.
right. Thank you so much. So let me confess. The first thing that wowed me about you was your name. I'm like, Caris. I wasn't even sure. Like, is it Charis or Caris? So
I
please
said
tell us
I
what's
love.
the meaning of Caris. Aha. What's the meaning of Caris?
Charis means grace. Charis is Greek for grace.
Grace.
Yeah.
Ah. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So, dear Caris, and so let's start. Our conversation is about my mental health as a writer, and you've done amazing projects. Done stories, animation, feature movies, and all of that. So, what do you think? How does writing affect your mental health, or does mental health affect your writing? What's the correlation? What's the relationship between writing and mental health?
First off, thank you very much for having me here. It's actually such a privilege to be here. So, to your question, the answer is yes and yes. It actually goes both ways. Writing actually has an impact on mental health. Now, this is in two folds. There's the positive side and there's the not so positive side. Now, for the positive side, I'm going to be sharing from my own personal experience. For
Thank you.
me, I think I started writing way back as a child, and it was actually a form of escape for me. It was kind of like therapeutic. It was really, really therapeutic. It was just the avenue I had to share things I couldn't share with anyone. So basically, I found solace in writing, in journaling. So yeah, writing actually affects mental health. For the positive side, it's actually therapeutic. It's very, very therapeutic. It helps you to unburden. It helps you to things you can't like get out, things you can't express in by having like a one-on-one conversation with people. Writing actually helps to free you of those burdens. Now, for the not so good side, that's the flip side. Most times, I think this has to do more
Yeah.
with the professional side of it, and that's when I have deadlines to deal with. Then it gets overwhelming. So there's the positive and there's also the negative. Positive is it's calming, it's soothing and all of that. But the negative, when I have back-to-back deadlines to do, it becomes really overwhelming. And as a result, it can actually lead to, especially when I find myself recently, I found myself working on different projects. Like as I completed a particular script, I was working on another one like almost immediately. So I got to a point where I was like, you know what? After this project, I need a break. Like actually experienced a burnout. So yeah, that's side. That's the flip side of it. So yeah, writing
Yeah.
both it actually affects mental health. And then to the question of whether mental health affects writing, the answer is a yes. I remember a couple of months ago, I made a video on my Instagram page where I talked about how, as writers, we need we need to be with partners that are actually very understanding. Because I've come to realize that my mood can actually affect my creativity. So
Yeah.
take for you're in a bad mood with your partner, or you're always having back and forth with your partner and all of that, and you're a writer or you're a creative, it actually affects your mood. So yeah, your mental can actually affect your creativity. When I'm not in a good frame of mind, I can't produce anything solid, basically. Yeah, mental health actually affects your writing and vice versa. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. I totally, agree. So I would not consider myself a writer, but so as a therapist, I have to take notes. All right, I have to take notes, progress notes, and I know that there are times when I've had a really heavy, I call it heavy, a really heavy session. So I can't process anything at that time. I don't know if it happens to you. It's like my
Yeah.
head is blocked. So
Hmm?
I practically, and just take for example, I've had 4 sessions. I know this was me on Saturday. I had back to back sessions. I just closed my laptop and I went to go and watch TV to clear my head. So yes, I totally agree with you that our mental health actually affects our
Yeah.
creativity, our right. Because at that time I couldn't write. I couldn't even form words. My brain wasn't like a baby's brain. So after I had relaxed a bit, my like the fog of the clouds were cleared, and then I was able to think straight and document my experiences during that day. So thank
Yes.
you so much, Karis. Yeah, go ahead.
I said sometimes all you just need is to shut the laptop and sleep. Just sleep.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so you talked about some personal experiences when you were growing up. Writing was an escape for you. So could you tell us more about that? So what personal experiences have you drawn from your writing? So maybe how you stumbled upon writing, how you realized that this is something I want to do professionally because you have a master's in creative writing, and how has that improved your mental well-being?
Okay. So for background story, I had my first degree in estate management, and then
Wow.
I
Estate management. What? You don't mean it. Wow, I didn't know that. I was thinking maybe something media related, but okay.
That's all actually. And I think for me, the reason I studied that course was first off, I didn't really have that much guidance as to, because I was doing well in the arts. I've always been writing as a child, and everyone around me actually knew I loved writing, but I didn't really have the old counseling and guidance, like, okay, instead of going to the sciences, how about you go to the arts department and all of that. So it was just more of peer pressure. My friends, we were all going to the science department. Back then it was more like, if you're not in the science department, you don't know book, basically. So yeah, it was peer pressure. Then went to the science department, and then I wanted to study medicine and surgery. Honestly, I don't know what I was thinking, but God knows. I wanted
Dr. Karis.
Yeah, I wanted to study medicine and surgery, but you know how JAMB is. So after a while of like trying and trying for a particular subject, I just, you know what, at this point, let me just study whatever didn't require me having chemistry. So that was how I stumbled upon estate management. Then I spent 5 years studying estate management, and then in my fourth year, that was during my industrial training, I just knew that, okay, you know what? Because I came to realize that what they were teaching us in class was completely different from what was actually out there, like on the field. So I just told myself, I started a blog back then during my IT. I was basically documenting my experience as an IT student. That was what just helped me to like cope with the stress and all of that. So before my IT, I came to the realization that, you know what, I don't think I want to do this estate management thing anymore. I want to go into writing full time. And then yeah, I went back to school, completed my first degree, and then I pivoted into writing. I faced quite a number of challenges.
Wow.
Family, yeah, because they felt
Challenge.
like, how many writers do you know that have money, like that kind of, yeah. But I still kept at it. So yeah, basically that was how I like stumbled into writing. Then for the piece of personal experience, I think as writers,
Yeah.
there's one thing that is common. We are actually, personally, I write movie scripts, right? And this is me trying to come up with characters and make them relatable. So definitely there's always the part of personal experience. Now, sometimes it can be painful, and one of such times was when I was writing my master's dissertation. I was meant to I was meant to write a script for a feature film. So I decided to work on something that had to do with sickle cell disease. To write a script that had to do with sickle cell disease. Personally, I actually lost a sibling to sickle cell. So I didn't know it was going to be that emotional for me, basically. So when I started, yeah, it was still like I was enjoying it. But as I went in depth into the whole process of, yeah, I actually had a mental breakdown.
You broke down.
So
Yeah.
yeah, at that point, it didn't even occur to me that a part of me was still feeling that way until I had to draw from that experience. Yeah, and I think at some point, because in the process of working on the project, I had to get on a call with a therapist just as part of research. So I think while in the process of research and having a conversation with the therapist, she asked me some personal questions that initially felt uncomfortable. At the end of the day, I ended up opening up, and I sincerely didn't know I still had all of those stuff like really, really buried. So I would say that so far that's like the major project I've worked on that really, really had me all emotional, because this is not me drawing from something that happens to a friend. It's not me drawing
Yeah.
from someone around me. It's me drawing from my own personal experience.
Personal experience.
And in a way, actually drawing from personal experience actually helps you to create something that is very, very solid. Like I
Mm-hmm.
can my relatable, because I've been in these shoes, so I can actually write from an angle of first-hand experience instead of going on trying to say, what does someone with sickle cell go through, or yeah. So personal experiences, there's the good side and there's the bad side. But for me, I think it's actually more of the bad side,
Bad
basically,
side.
because yeah, it just brings back memories. But I've just learned to like, okay, you know what, this is in the past. So even if it means you're having like temporary mental breakdown, I go through that process. I don't try to avoid it. So I go through that process and then snap out of it, basically.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So, if you're just joining us, this is my mental health as a writer, and we have a creative writer and storyteller with us, Caris Gabriel, and she's shared amazing points with us that yes, writing can improve your mental health, and your mental health can also, affect your writing. Okay, and thank you so much for sharing that personal experience with us. And she also
Yeah.
mentioned something important, that she spoke to a therapist. So the fact that you're a writer or anything, it's okay. It's okay to speak to a therapist just to unburden. Of course, she did it professionally, all right, to get some level of insight, but you could see how that process helped your mind, write better. So you don't need to wait until you're really, really low before you speak to a therapist. All right. Anyways, I'm just, talking about that because it's important to speak to a therapist. Amazing, thank you. So, what about writer's block? First of all, what is writer's block, and how can writers on this call, or writers that will later listen to watch this video, how can they deal with writer's block? Have you experienced it, and how did you come out of it? What are some of the coping strategies that you have used to handle writer's block?
So in the simplest way possible for those that might not be writers on this call,
Mm-hmm.
literally writer's block is what it is like. You're going on a journey, there's a stumbling block along the road, and then you have to like get past that block to be able to proceed. So basically writer's block is your writing process. You experience a block, maybe in your mental state, it can be you're just short of ideas. You don't know, you can't move forward, you can't move backward, you don't know exactly what to do. So that, in the simplest way possible, that's what a writer's block is. Now, how do I deal with writer's block?
Yeah.
If you had asked me this question like a few years back, I would have said, take a break and then come back. But from experience and from growth, I've come to realize that sometimes you can't actually take a break, especially when you have deadlines to meet up with, when your clients are like calling you left, right, center, like you have to deliver, and you wouldn't want to like give flimsy excuses as to why you cannot deliver. So it's good to take a break, but there's also the part of what
Excuses.
exactly. So personally, I've just how I move past that phase now, especially when I have a deadline that I know I can't afford to take a break right now, is through the help of three people. Number one is the Holy Spirit. And I think as writers, as creatives, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes we don't really know what we have. We don't really know
Mm.
the advantage we actually have as children of God and all of that. When I'm dealing with a writer's block, all I just have to do is, dear Holy Spirit, please help me. Like when I'm writing, I am always, that's one prayer that is constantly on my lips. Oh, sorry, Nigeria happened.
Nigeria, but it's okay. Just go ahead.
Yeah, so you have to like I actually pray and ask the Holy Spirit for help and for guidance. Now another thing I do is to take advantage of the people God has blessed me with. In my own case, number one is my husband. Shout out to my husband. And then the second person is my friend, Onome. So when I'm having issues like this, all I just have to do is get on a call with them. When my husband is at home, all I have to do is, okay, I have the story idea I'm working on. Basically, I just share the story and bring him up to speed with where I'm at. Then once I'm able to do that, there's no way I do that I don't come out of that block. So it's either I speak to my husband or I speak to my friend, or yeah, I also pray, ask the Holy Spirit for help. But for those who might actually not have this particular advantage, I would advise sometimes all you need to do is to just take a break. Yeah, I know I said sometimes you can't take a break, but by taking a break, I don't mean taking a break for like a week or like a couple of days. Sometimes just
Yeah.
shut your laptop, like just sleep. You'll be amazed
Mhm.
at what would happen when you wake up. You actually wake up feeling very refreshed. And another way I also like doing writer's block is also to see a movie Yeah, actually see a movie. If I'm working on a particular genre and I'm just I don't know where to go from there, all I have to do is either go on Netflix and like check for similar movies or something that has been
Beautiful.
done exactly. Once I see that, definitely ideas would actually like come rushing back.
Mhm. Wow, thank you so much for that. I think that that was very profound. I remember during the conference, if you remember the Culture Shift conference, and then we had a lot of creative people come talk to us that God is a creator. So we are co-creators with him, but we don't engage that part of him because we feel okay, just reading my Bible, God give me money, I want to live
Exactly.
long, good health. But we can engage the presence of the Holy Ghost, like, please just help me. I have a deadline to submit something by tomorrow 12 p.m. and I'm stuck. Help me. And then it could just be a scripture, it could just be an affirmation something, just a reassuring word from him, and then it's like your head is cleared and you're able to sort out, things like that. So thank you so much for that. So you talked about watching movies, maybe taking a short break, sleeping, and these are some of the things that we can do, especially in intense creative periods.
Okay, I'm not sure if I don't know.
Hello.
Yeah, the screen actually froze for a while. I didn't hear what you said.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry, that was from me. So I was saying that thank you so much for, just pointing to the fact that we are creators, we are co-creators with God, and we have the ability to create and recreate. All right. So you mentioned something really good about watching movies. So yes, it's a relaxing exercise, but we can also get ideas from there, right?
True.
So watching movies, you mentioned sleeping and just resting for a while. Those are examples of self-care. So I want you to, talk about self-care as a writer. What are some of the things that we can do, especially in intense creative periods, like back to back? Take for example, I don't know if you know this series, Just Us Girls by Pastor Mildred. All right, I think they just wrapped up shooting season 3 and 4, right? So just imagine the script writer during those times. How can the script writer, the storyteller, everybody that is writing, you know, practice self-care?
Okay. For self-care, one thing I do for self-care, I'll still go back to seeing movies, but this time, movies that are not mentally stimulating.
Beautiful.
So yeah, I watch comedy shows. I watch maybe romance movies or just anything that just doesn't require me thinking, basically. Preferably comedy shows actually, because I'm just laughing, I'm giggling, and then it just helps to like lighten up my spirit. It lightens up my mood. Then another thing I do is even while working, I try as much as possible to take short breaks in between. So there's the whole part of I understand as writers we have deadlines to meet up with, but when you find yourself stretching and you're writing for hours without taking a break, it actually affects you. It clogs your mind and it actually affects your mental state. So one
Yeah.
thing I do, for instance, I can have like a target. Okay, I want to write 10 pages for a script and then just take a break and do whatever, disturb my husband or see a movie or sleep and wake up, then come back to it again. Then another thing I do is having a to-do list.
Hmm.
So one thing that is common with writers, I think one thing that is really, really common with writers is we work on different projects at the same time. It's like you're working on this particular script, but then you there's an idea for another script and you have to like, oh, pause on that one and then jump to this one so you don't forget that idea. So there's just the whole possibility of doing different things at once, and that can also like affect our mental state. So basically, I have a to-do list. If it's not on my list, I'm not, no matter the temptation, I'm not getting into it. If I receive an idea, all I have to do, I just open my notes app on my phone and just type it down, and that's it. So I work with a to-do list. If I'm writing, if I'm working on, say I'm working on like 3 different projects at once, because there are times when you're working with different clients, and then you have like a limited timeline to work with. So I can, on my to-do list, I'll just be like, okay, maybe for clients 1, 9 to 11, write 10 pages. Once I'm done with that 10 pages for the day, I know, okay, that is all with this particular project. Then I move on to something else. So having a to-do list actually helps to keep my mind organized. I'm not
Yes.
exactly so. And another thing I'm doing, I'm not there yet, but I'm praying to the Holy Spirit for help, because is to begin my project on time. Because I don't know, there's just
Yeah.
this whole thing about my brain functioning in this very high speed capacity when the deadline is close. And I'm like, okay, where have you been all this while? So basically, I noticed that most times when I feel overwhelmed, it's usually because I am trying to meet up the deadline. So one thing that is actually helpful is, for instance, if I have like a month to work on a project, I start working on it as soon as possible.
Possible.
So I'm able to like complete it before the deadline. That way I don't feel overwhelmed. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
those are ways I prioritize self-care. Sometimes I also go for a walk. Yeah,
Mm.
just stroll out. And then you can also get on a call with friends and maybe hang out if you're the kind of person that goes out a lot. I'm not, so yeah.
Mm. You also mentioned reaching out to your support system, in your case, your husband and friend. Thank you so much. I think what you just said had just shown that the fact that you're a writer means you're also human. You're also human, so we need to, yes, we're creative, yes, we're able to make a story out of nothing, we're able to paint Nigeria as the United Kingdom, but we need to remember that we are human, and there's a human factor to us. So if you notice that, oh, I'm getting a bit irritable, I'm getting a bit touchy, I'm not sleeping, I'm sleeping but my head is a bit heavy, it means that we need to take some level of rest. And I like the fact that these are daily activities for you. So writers on this call, please know that self-care is not an emergency activity. Is
Yeah.
something that we need to incorporate in our lifestyle. So Carrie says, starting her project on time, she's having a to-do list, she's going for walks regularly, and then she's reaching out to her support, system, which is her husband and her friends. So I know she's all over her husband. I know. We meet the Gabriels. Just go and check them out on Instagram. Meet the Gabriels. If you're single, I'm sorry, but they will choke you. But just go and meet them. She has definitely great support, and that's it. Anyway, this is not a married talk, but please marry well, please, it's important, but especially when you know that you are a woman or man of purpose. Marry well. All right. Thank you so much for those tips on self-care and maintaining health generally as a writer, even during intensive creative periods. So this has happened to me. So, okay, not as the encourager, but I'm also a millionaire. I make fascinators and bouquets and all of that. So when your client rejects your work or criticizes your work, of like, what is this? Is it what I paid for? I thought you're smarter than this. Please, in short, they wash you down. So there are some clients that are blessed. They have the fear of God. They know how to
Yeah.
give good feedback. But the ones that just make you feel low, that just brings out that imposter syndrome, you start questioning yourself, hey, this writing said, she I should abandon it and go and be doing something else. So how do you handle all that? Because for me, it does affect my self-esteem. It does affect when I was, still starting off with my, what's it now, millinery work. It affected my, in fact, I'll say I'm not even doing millinery again. It affected my mental health. So for you as a writer, how do you handle rejection? How do you handle criticisms from clients, or not even from difficult clients generally? They may not reject your work, but they are difficult. How do you handle them?
Okay. I've actually had to deal with such clients at different stages in my career, and there was a particular client I worked with, and it was actually a very toxic environment, and it was just more like there's just something every single day, and it's not like you're not good enough. It's just a personal issue with the
Yes.
client. So basically, and at that point in time, I knew what I was looking for. I knew I needed the experience. So I didn't have a choice. Let me just I told myself, you don't have a choice in this situation. You just have to like stick with it, get what you want, and then move on. So with rejection, I've come to learn the art of actually separating rejection of my work from my person.
I
If my
see.
work is rejected, it's easy for us to feel affected as a person, because, and if I send the client a script and the client like rejects it, and not just rejects it and starts talking down and criticizing, I just come to understand that okay, it's not a personal issue. The client is not criticizing me as an individual. The client is criticizing the work. So basically, it's learning the art of separating your work from your person. So I think the moment we're able to do that, you'll be able to see rejection from an objective standpoint. Because sometimes there are constructive criticism
Yeah.
that you know that okay, I could have actually done better in this particular situation. But truth is, there are some people that are just sadists. There are some people. So another thing is to understand who is criticizing and from what standpoint the person
Yeah.
is criticizing. If you know that this person is a sadist naturally, like there's nothing, even if you submit the best work, he or she will still find something to point out. You just have to, you find a way of dealing with the person. And if you know, I think personally, I've gotten to a point in my career where I can decide not to work with a client. If I see that you talk down on me and all of that, I won't work with you. But in the beginning stage of my career, at that point, I didn't really have a choice because I was trying to like build my portfolio and all of that.
Field.
But right now, I don't work with toxic clients. They are dramatic clients, but they are not toxic. So there's a difference between the two. There are clients that they would disturb you, bug you with calls, but they are actually not toxic. They don't insult, they are not abusive. So basically, dealing with rejection as writers, it is a part of the journey. That's the thing. It is a part of the journey. There are times when you would work on something, and if care is not taken, because you're the person who actually created this piece, you don't see anything wrong with it until you send it out and someone actually criticizes it. So it's about swallowing our ego, swallowing our pride, and actually accepting the fact that okay, I could have done this thing better. Then for me, there's also the place of self-compassion. Like, fine, we're writers, we are expected to deliver, but at the same time, you have to be kind to yourself. You have to give yourself, like, cut yourself some slack, basically. You have to, like, I
Slack.
know we are all striving to be the best at what we do, but there's also the part of, like you mentioned earlier, we are humans first off before being a writer. So being kind to
Before,
yourself,
right?
exactly, and not putting that much pressure. Fine, the pressure is good, but try not to put so much pressure on yourself to a point where you now start it's your self-esteem as a person.
Amazing. Thank you so much. In fact, what you said is key because not even for writing now, but generally, whenever people make mistakes, they need to be able to separate that mistake from their person. So the fact that you feel that something at a business or in a conversation doesn't mean you're a failure. So my writers or anyone listening to me, you need to learn whatever criticism or whatever feedback you get, separate it from your person. And then, like Carrie said, what kind of person is it? So the person may actually give good feedback, but the way it was said was not right. So
Yeah.
what you need to do is to take that feedback. Okay, so maybe they're saying I should be more expressive. All right, so I'm going to be more expressive. Not the way the person, communicated that, because the moment you begin to focus a lot on, oh, this is how she said it to me, this is how he said it to me, it affects our work and then it can dampen our creativity. So brilliant point about separating the rejection of the work from the rejection by person, and then practicing self-compassion. So yes, telling yourself I did my best, telling yourself I'm going to improve, telling yourself I'm not perfect. Okay, that's why I'm in this profession. I'm going to improve and improve. Taking every feedback as feedback, not anything personal. So something that she said was key. She said she was in a toxic, work life relationship, but she wanted to learn. And of course, these things that she said and these tips that she has mentioned were what she used to help survive all of those periods. So it's not every time you are faced in a difficult situation. I'm careful with my words now that you will need to leave, because sometimes we need to develop tough skin. for that place we say we want to be.
That's true. Then there's one more thing I would like to mention based on my experience with clients. And that's the
Yes.
fact that sometimes clients reject work not because you did a bad job, but because some clients don't know how to communicate what they want. So for instance, I've had to work with some clients, some producers on scripts, and like you tell me what story you want me to write. I've gone ahead to write it. And then I send it to you and you're like, this is not what I asked for. So it's not a matter of, okay, what exactly do you want? There are some people that just don't know they really don't know how to communicate what they want. So it will take an extra level of patience to be able to like, okay, get back on a call with them or like, what exactly do you want? Try to understand where they are coming from. So most times when they reject, it's also because I try to put myself in the shoes of the person that is rejecting what I sent him. It might be because, okay, they have a picture in mind, but what you've sent, not seeing that picture. So it's basically about understanding where they are coming from. So I think if we can actually all like adopt that whole strategy of, okay, what exactly does this client want? Then we won't take rejections personal, because really it's not meant to be personal.
Yeah. Don't take them personal. Amazing. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is Caris Gabriel, and she is a story writer and storyteller and creative writer. She's telling us about, her personal experiences, as she's a writer professionally, and how she's able to go through the ups and downs of her career, basically to improve her mental well-being. So please like this video, and if you know someone that should be here, please share this video with them. Okay, so thank you so much, Caris. I wanted to ask, because one of the things I give my clients assignments a lot, because I know the importance of writing down, I know the importance of researching and basically putting your thoughts to paper, whether it's digitally or actual book. So I know the importance of journaling. I know the importance of just basically pulling all of these things here. So let me give you something in context. So when I'm working with clients with anxiety, I'll tell them things like, write down your anxious thoughts. Really?
Yeah.
I should write them down. So the moment they begin to write those anxious thoughts, they begin to read them. They're like, why am I thinking like this? Really? Is it even true? So they actually see those thoughts, and then they're like, this is not true. So it helps in, healing and recovery for me in my practice. So for you as a writer, what do you think? This is what I've experienced, and I've seen it works. Writing, journaling works. So does what do you think? Does writing help improve, or what role does it play in mental health recovery, maybe self-expression? I know you talked a bit about that, but you could expatiate on that. So self-expression, mental health recovery, and then healing. What role does writing play in all of these things?
I think writing actually plays a major role. Writing plays a major role. Now, while I was doing my research, I came across a study by Cambridge University, and they found out that writing about traumatic, stressful, or emotional events resulted in improvements in both physical and psychological health. So basically, they actually, according to this research, they found you're frozen. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can. Just repeat
Yeah.
what you said, please.
Okay. So I said, according to a study by Cambridge University, they found writing about traumatic, stressful, or emotional events resulted in improvement in both physical and psychological health. So yeah,
Wow.
writing plays a key role in trauma recovery and in actually improving mental health. Personally, sometimes, and I don't know if you've heard of this example, that most times when you're feeling angry, maybe you have an annoying boss, then you have a lot you want to say, but of course you can't say it because this person is your boss. Just open your email and type out everything you want to, type out everything you want to say. If you want to insult him or her, type everything out. When you're done typing it out, delete it. I know I've seen it in movies, but I didn't know it actually worked until I personally tried it. Now, while I mentioned going for a therapy session while I was working on my dissertation. So in the
Yeah.
process, therapist actually asked me about someone that had hurt me in the past. I didn't know I was still carrying it. I honestly did not know. And she was like, okay, if you could write a letter to this person now, what would you write? So she gave me an assignment and told me to write a letter. Now I wrote the letter, and she instructed me not to, she asked me not to type it out. I had to write it with a pen on paper. So when I was done writing, oh my goodness, I thought it was just going to be very short, but geez, I actually wrote like two pages, and I'm like, what? It was really baffling. So when I was done writing about it, and then I got on the call with her again, and she was like, okay, now read the letter and share it. So I did as instructed, and it felt like there was this weight that was just taken off my shoulders that I wasn't even aware was there in the first place. So yeah, journaling, writing actually really, really helps. Then personally also, I've noticed that most times when I'm finding it difficult to communicate how I'm feeling at a particular point in time, maybe I'm actually angry at that point and I don't want to talk to whoever it is I'm angry with. Because I know most times when you speak, if you speak when you're angry, it actually like escalates things. So I found out that when I write my thoughts, like write everything down, it helps me with writing. I'm just in this calm state of mind because it's basically from my thoughts to my phone or to my pen and paper or whatever it is I'm writing with. So it actually helps me communicate like my feelings. Sometimes I can't find the words to actually express how I'm feeling at a particular point in time. But when I do it with writing, it's clearer actually. And there's a course I was going to like take back during my master's. It's creative writing for therapy. So basically, there's a course like that, like creative writing for therapy. Because I know back then, I don't know, it's not something that is really common in Nigeria here, but I know in more developed countries, writing is seen as a major therapy tool, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, writing helps a whole lot. Writing helps a lot. If you're someone who is going through whatever phase you're going through and you feel like nobody's understanding you, you can't seem to like your mental health is just like really messed with. I think journaling would really, really help. You wake up every morning and you write how you feel. You wake up in the morning. At some point, I was writing letters to God. Like it was just basically me writing, dear God, this is how I feel today. I'm not communicating with a physical person, but writing it down, actually, it's
made it feel
soothing.
so real. Yeah.
Exactly. It feels really real, and it just takes that old burden. It takes the burden off your shoulder, and I think more people should actually jump on the power of writing, like to just clear their minds and get their emotion, get it all out, basically.
Amazing. The power of writing. Beautiful. Thank you so much. So that exercise that the therapist told you to do is powerful. I do it particularly for people who are struggling with forgiveness, struggling with a lot of hurt and trauma. It's powerful. You find people crying as they are writing those stories and then reading it out, their hands are shaking, and then when they are tearing it, you find them crying. It's just a way of releasing energy that they didn't even know existed. One, two, they don't know how to express themselves. So it's powerful. Someone may be listening like writing. I should be writing about what happened. But it is powerful and it is a tool. We have different therapeutic tools, but we know that this tool of writing works. All right. So thank you so much, Caris.
And the
Where I think this will be my okay. Go
funny
ahead.
thing, yeah, the funny thing is you don't even have to be a writer to journal. Basically,
Yes. Yes.
just you writing down your thoughts. You don't need to use big grammars. You're the only one reading it. So basically, just write the way, even if your sentences are not correct, just write it the way it's coming, and you'll find it really helpful.
Yeah, amazing. I know last week is it this week? One of the things that I was talking about in therapy is the power of gratitude. So I encouraged my clients to have a gratitude journal. What are you doing? You're training your mind, even as you're writing, to be grateful. So, as you're deliberately looking for things to write down in your gratitude journal, you're training your mind, okay, what am I grateful for today? And it's an exercise that we all need to do. So, like Carrie said, you do not need to be a writer to journal. All right. Thank you so much. So, my final question would be: are there certain techniques, are there certain writing habits or practices that Karis, that you find particularly helpful that helps you maintain your mental well being? Any particular type of, I don't know, are there types of writing that helps improve your mental well being?
Yeah, I find number one is journaling. Journaling is
Okay.
very important. And then another one I do, I've not done it in a while, is actually writing poetry. So I
Poetry.
yeah, there's a different dimension of relief you feel when you just write that poem, like just exactly how you're feeling. Just try to like find the words to describe it using a poem. So that also helps. And then yeah, having a daily to-do list is another technique that really helps me. So a daily to-do list is very, very essential. Then lastly, one thing about writing, it can actually be a very lonely journey. Writing can be very lonely. I found myself in situations where I actually
Mm.
saw depression, like I was really depressed, and that was because I have been writing, and I didn't step out. Yeah, it was during my master's degree. I didn't step out. I wasn't seeing anybody. I wasn't communicating with anybody physically, except when I went to class and all of that. So, if you're someone, personally, I work from home, but now of course, I have a solid support system. So, but prior to this period, it was just me in my world. I'm not someone that steps out often. So, yeah, it can actually be very, very lonely, and it can be very, very depressing. So one way to deal with that, one way to tackle that is by you can go online and like check like groups, a community of writers that you can. There's different groups on Facebook, on Instagram. There are different communities you can join as a writer, because the journey is a lonely one already. You're alone in your thoughts and all
Yeah.
of that. So you need the support. You need a strong support system. You need a strong community. So finding a community of writers can actually also help with that.
I think that's really brilliant. Thank you so much, Caris. Because one of the things I also encourage remote workers to do is don't always stay in your office, in your room doing the same thing. It can actually increase symptoms of anxiety.
Yeah,
Go out in the sun, use a co-working space, go to a restaurant where you're seeing people interact, and then do your work from there. It really, really helps. And it also improves your creativity
that's true.
because just staying in the same place, if you're like someone that you don't like the lights on, everywhere is dark, there's no sun reaching, everywhere will be dull. Do you understand? So once in a while, go out and interact. Just see people, even if you're not talking to them, you don't know them. Oh, I'm not the kind of person that likes to go out. Go out because it improves your mind, and which is what
That's
we want to do. We want to improve our work. So that's key. And that point of joining a community, no matter how you tell me, encourager, I'm an introvert, I like my own space, we are still social beings. So when
that's
you
true.
connect with people and you know that you are not the only one facing this writing challenge or this mental block, and then you learn from people how they were able to work through that challenge, you're improved, you're better. So it's important that please, you're a writer. Don't say I like to be on my own. I don't know how to go online, search writing communities or start yours. All right. You can start yours.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. So
Guys,
journaling, thank you.
done.
What did you say? Please repeat that.
When you start yours, you would actually be surprised by how many people would join, because there are people going through the same stuff you're going through, but they don't know how to go about it. You were frozen.
Okay, sorry. So thank you so much, Karis. Yes, Nigeria, Nigeria, Nigeria. I don't know, does network disturb you as a writer? Does network disturb you? Do you have to research things and then the network is slow?
It does actually. It does. All right, you're back.
Hello, can you hear me now? Okay. Apologies for that. This is Nigeria. I don't know if you had my question. I said, does the network frustrate you when you're at work?
It does.
Me, imagine this happens a lot.
It does actually,
I'm
especially
saying sorry. Yes.
yeah, it happens.
So how do you handle it?
Get a stronger network or work from a co-working space. It's Wi-Fi, of course.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Caris Gabriel. Please, can we celebrate her? I don't see any questions in the chat room, but we have her for like an extra 2 to 3 minutes. So please let's celebrate her. I'm really, really grateful for you coming on our show to talk about your experiences, your challenges, your wins, your successes. In fact, Caris is a go-getter. She's always putting herself out there, pushing herself, applying for things, pitching herself. So as a writer, keep on pitching, keep on pushing yourself. I think it's still a growing career in our country or in our society, but it's still really, really important where we are now. So thank you so much, Caris. So just tell us, where can we meet you? What are your services? How can we engage you? And how can we find you? What social media platforms are you on? Because our writers on this call, or people who want to learn how to write, want to meet with you.
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram. Yeah, LinkedIn and Instagram as Caris Gabriel. Yeah,
Okay.
you can find me on Instagram as Caris Gabriel. I also have a YouTube channel. So like I recently tried to start putting out content out there, also content for writers. Then I have an Instagram page for writers too, the 360 writer. So you can also find that on Instagram and yeah, follow there.
Okay. So what are some of your services? How can we engage you?
I'm a screenwriter for film, for TV, for animation, documentaries. I'm also a content writer. I write blog posts. I write SEO blog posts for brands and businesses.
So business writers too can engage you. Business writers like me that to be thinking of caption and all of these things, I can just come to you and then you're able to help me with all of my captions and that would convert.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So I don't see any questions in the chat room. So this is me saying thank you once again on behalf of the Encouragement Consulting Group. Thank you for showing up on our show, the July edition of the Encouragement series. I have been encouraged to keep on learning, to keep on pushing myself, to remember that I'm human and to enjoy the journey. That's something that you mentioned. Enjoy the process. And I'm really, really grateful for you for coming up on our show. So, do you have any final words?
Yeah, thanks for having me. And to anyone that is trying to like build your career as a writer and you're not so sure, trust me, writing is actually a very amazing career. So yeah, I'm rooting for you. And if you need any help with starting out in your writing journey, you can always reach out to me. I'm available to help. Thanks for having me once again.
Thank you so much. So I'll see you all in our next edition. Remember, the last Thursday of every month is when we hold our encouragement series and would have the August edition the last Thursday of in August, 8 p.m. West African time. Thank you and bye bye. Thank
Bye.
you.